Well, hey, Christ Covenant, I want to talk about where we're headed this week as far as sermons. We're going to have two sermons this week. We'll have a Good Friday service, and we'll do a short sermon there. And then obviously our Easter Sunday, our Resurrection Sunday, a short sermon there as well. On Friday, I'm going to walk us through Isaiah 53, this wonderful Old Testament prophecy, Isaiah 52:13 through 53:12. One Old Testament scholar calls it the Mount Everest of Old Testament prophecies. And because it gives us this wonderful picture 700 years in advance, this vivid description of what the crucifixion will be like. In fact, it really unpacks this idea of substitution. In fact, one scholar says the entire Bible, and let alone that, the entire world is a picture of substitution, that we have tried to substitute ourselves and put ourselves in the place of God. We see that with Adam and Eve in the garden. They want to be like God, and so they disobey him and take the fruit and eat and sin. And we play this out in our own lives as we try to put ourselves and make ourselves our own authority and put ourselves in the place of God. But the kindness and grace of the cross and the kindness and grace of the gospel is that where we have tried to put ourselves in the place of God, God in his kindness has sent his son to put himself in the place of man. He is where God substitutes himself for man and takes the punishment that we deserve. And so we're going to see this idea of substitution, these wonderful pictures of what we have in the gospel, the fact that our king will be disfigured so that we can become lovely, the fact that our king will become common, the king of glory will become a common human being, so that in order that we could be glorified, that we can receive glory, that our king, the king of glory, will be crushed so that we can be healed. And then ultimately, the king of glory will be killed so that we can have life, so that we ourselves can have resurrection. And so we're going to go through that briefly on Friday. Read Isaiah 53 and just marvel at this Old Testament prophecy 700 years before. And then Sunday, we're going to go through continue our study in Jonah. We'll look at Jonah 2. Jesus likens his death, burial, and resurrection to what happened with Jonah. The fact that he's taken by this fish, this sign of judgment. He kind of goes into death. In fact, he says, waters closed in over me to take my life. I was down in the pit. But then he gives this prefiguring of resurrection. He says, you bring my life up out of the pit. And then Jonah is vomited onto dry land. And it's amazing. What he does is he goes then immediately and preaches to the Ninevites. And it says they believed God. That's the first few verses of chapter 3. And then Jesus picks up what he calls the sign of Jonah in Matthew 12. Read Matthew 12, 38 through 42 this week, as he picks up this theme that he will actually not be completely like Jonah. In fact, there's ways he's not, because he's not a rebel. He's not a sinner, as we talked about, but yet he will take the punishment that sinners deserve. He will die. He will go into the belly of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights, and then he will be raised from the dead. And so we're going to come together and celebrate this sign of Jonah. And what happens as soon as Jesus comes out of the grave, he gives his people a commission, and they go and begin to preach the gospel to the nations. And these nations then believe on a Jewish king. It's an amazing thing that has been prefigured in what happened with Jonah, that is just pointing us forward to the more glorious actual work of Jesus Christ. The better Jonah, something better than Jonah is here. And so let's come together and let's work. We do this every Sunday, right? We worship Jesus and we celebrate the resurrection, the fact that we have a king who is alive. He died in our place, and yet he is alive. And we have been celebrating that for 2,000 years, and we celebrate that every Sunday. But let's come together and celebrate it this Sunday, excited about what it is to celebrate and to worship a risen king. And I just want to say this, please invite somebody. You know, these are old stats, but it's been said that 98% of Christians will not invite somebody on Easter Sunday. Yet, in a survey, 82% of unbelievers said that if they were invited on Easter Sunday, they would attend. So please invite somebody, because I promise you, they will hear the gospel clearly. And we will offer them the words of life on Sunday. So please think about who you might invite to be a part of that service. Read through Jonah 2. Think about how it points forward to Jesus and his resurrection. We'll come together and learn about Jonah. And then at the end of the sermon, we will come together to think about how that points to our risen King. So I look forward to seeing you Sunday.